Good morning. Today is the 17th of January 2024 and we're going to go through some of my levels for today. Just before we start, we'll look at the economic calendar. We've had news at 8:30 and we've got quite a lot going on today. Fed speaking 9, Fed speaking 9:15, business inventories at 10 and house market index, and we've got more Fed speakers later as well. So keep an eye on today. It might be a funny day, so just keep an eye on the news coming out. Okay, so go into the ES or the MES, which is the S&P index futures. Currently have the 1 hour time frame. Let's start with the daily, see where we are. So we've been putting in this possible double top. Didn't quite make any new highs, any more new highs over the last recent days, and we're seeing this change of trend potentially on the daily. We've got our neckline down here as well to watch out for potential bounces. We're away from that, not that far away, considering that's just one big candle down like we've got there. So we are watching this demand zone of 4,700 for a potential bounce, and if you go to the left further, you can see that bounces from around July's highs of last year. So all this area is a bit of a demand zone. As for supply, you can get rid of that one now. As for supply, we've got supply up here at this double top, and I'll probably make an adjustment to the supply zone shortly, but that's all we need to know for now. Levels I'm watching today are basically similar to the levels from yesterday. In fact, I've not made any changes bar one. So let's go over the ones which are the same. This is an area I'm watching for a potential bounce today, 47.60, that area there. I'm also made a change to one of the levels yesterday. I've moved this area here, area of confluence with the tops of candles, and then these became the bottoms of candles, then stayed at the bottom, broke through, became the top there, top again, and top here again. So that's an area I'm watching, 48.01.50 for potential rejection. If we do get back up there and we've got the downward moving average coming in, I'll be keeping an eye as well, maybe for an earlier rejection. As you can see, this 50 moving average, which is the red line, is starting to curve over now, indicating a change of trend. We're seeing a shift to a new downward trend on the hourly. The daily's just catching up as well. 4 hour, looks like it's putting in a new downtrend as well, but we're not quite in a downtrend yet until we break this important area, 4,700 on the daily. Okay, so back onto the hourly again, just go through some levels. So my top watch today is this bounce at 47.60, so I'm watching for a bounce around there. Because we're getting close to it now in the pre-market, I'm going to be waiting for confirmation. Yesterday I was willing just to put a start position in, and if we poke through, come back up, I would have added to it. But I'm going to wait for confirmation this time. I'll see how the market, if the market looks like it's starting to round over coming into that area, I may just get a start position in with a defined stop loss. And what I'm looking for is a defined stop loss, so if it's rounding over like we've got here, I might just take a start position there, and then wherever we see the bottom pivot, that will be my stop loss. So that's my first bounce, 47.60. The next bounce area is 47.44, and that goes back to beginning of the month, and we've got this void which we filled at the beginning of the month as well, so potentially looking for this gap to fill back down into this 47.20 area. So 47.45 area, that level there I'm watching as well, basically is confluence as well, tops of those candles, bottoms of those candles, bottoms of that candle, and we saw a big reaction to that big move down, and it's the bottom of that candle, so that's a major area as well. So that's really what I'm watching for, and obviously if we get down into this area of demand, then I'll be watching for a bounce around there, but don't think we'll get there today, but that's on watch anyway. As for rejections, I quite like the rejection at 48.01.50. potentially another one here at this point of control, which is 48.12. In fact, I'm going to mark that up and let's find the best place for it. And what I'm looking for is areas of confidence on previous. Yeah, it's difficult. Do you know what? I'm going to stick with this level, 48.23 for rejection. Potentially we could move that in, bring that down a bit, and that matches the bottoms of these, tops of there. So 48.21.75 to 48.22 for rejection up here. Could watch a rejection from here as well. That's a potential, and that would be a. I'll just put it in a area just so if I see it, I can keep an eye on it. And that's it. And obviously we've got rejections off of this highs as well. Let's have a look. Why am I not seeing? Oh, and that's right. That's right. Because we didn't make new all-time highs. We made all-time highs here back in December, not in January. And that's it really. So just a recap. I'm watching for bounces. We're still in a daily uptrend. So just to show you, obviously the weekly, we're in an uptrend and we're just going sideways on the weekly. A little bit of eating time off, and you can quite clearly see in the weekly where this white line is. It's my alert. That is the pivot, and that's the area we're watching for. So while we're above this pivot and we haven't broken down through that pivot, while we're above it, we're still in an uptrend on the monthly. Daily, still significant pivot, as you can see. We're zooming in on this now. We're still in an uptrend, and all we're doing is potentially in this channel. See what happens. We need to break down through that area, and also we've also got the curving 50 moving average coming down, curving back up, and the steady inclined 200 moving average as well. So there's no indication that we're in a downtrend yet, but you know, this is a double top, and there's a lot going on in the world right now as well. So, but this is the area to watch for. Anyway, and you break below 4700. Okay, back into the hourly now. So the hourly is changing trend. You know, normally starts from the lower time frames and works its way up, and normally always starts from the lower time frames and works its way up. So we're watching this neckline here as well. So we've broken through, we broke it, kind of retested it, not very convincingly because it's gone through the neckline, and we are looking at a potential head and shoulders pattern as well. Depends where you see it, either there, or you could have the left shoulder here, the right shoulder, and some weird head pattern. But clearly defined neckline is here, where the bottoms of these areas came in, we came back up and we tested it. So this is the area to watch for, and we've got this gap to fill potentially down into the supply area. But I still quite like the bounce off of that pivot. Like I said, we had a big reaction up to there, we had a big reaction down to there, so that's an area to watch. So to recap, we got a bounce at 47.60, a higher risk bounce at 47.44. But if that's today, it might be a better play today than tomorrow, because it would have been quite tired by the time we get there. And we've got the area of demand down here at 47.20. And we can also watch for the break and retest of the pre-market high, but also treat it as a break and retest of that neckline area. And we could just see it come back and reject it or something, but we've already, I'm going to revise that. I'm watching for a break and retest of this area as well, 47.85 area for a long, but it's a higher risk long because we have broken down through this pivot now, and potentially we are in a downtrend. So we're putting in lower highs and lower lows, something like that. Maybe it was just starting from here, lower lows, but we need to come back up, retest this area for it to reject, confirm this trend. So we could just, let's do it properly. It's a bit messy, but that's the area I'm watching. And then I'm going to clone that. kind of what I was trying to replicate a second ago, if you ignore this poke through. So that's kind of an area to watch for. And if we break this structure, you can see we tapped it at the bottom of here. We literally are running down this trend line, and we're going to either look for a break of this trend line down to confirm the move down, or we're going to break up and above to confirm the move up. I'll leave that there, so that's quite a useful guide. And we are currently in the lower half of this structure as well, which I generally see when we're looking for a breakout or breakdown. Whatever half of the structure we're in kind of is the dominant half, and then you see it come down. So just keep an eye on that. So let's look at SPY. You can see it curving round as well, this kind of curving pattern, and potentially we've got this head and shoulders, depends on what you want to call the head. Neckline, like the MES and the ES, clearly defined here. So we could be breaking down, come back up, retest for a short, so watch 472 for a short, or we could be watching for a break and retest long and come back up, down, long. 474 is an area to watch. And that's it, and same as before, we've got a rejection area at 476 and 477, that area of supply. Looking at Qs, so just keep an eye on the time. Same levels, looking a bit stronger. We've not broken down from here yet, so we're watching for a bounce of 405. And that was basically the tops and bottoms of these candles and potentially that area. And it's also, even though I don't regard a sideways moving average as much as a one which is curving up or down, but we've got the 200 moving average down at 405 as well. So watching for a bounce at 405, and then if we come down to 400 to 399 for a bounce along this area here as well. So they're the areas I'm watching for bounces. Rejections, we could wait for a rejection of a pre-market or today's high or pre-market, or we can watch for a break and retest long. So we've got two potential plays up there. Pre-market lows is still being defined, but we had this big negative move with the whatever news came in at 8:30 today. What was that? Retail sales, actual, forecast, prior. So it's higher. I don't really know what they mean, but I don't really care about the news. I just want to know when the news is happening, so that I can respond to the technicals when the news triggers. So where were we on Qs, weren't we? Yeah, so we're watching this area here for rejection 410 and watching for a bounce at 405. They're the main areas, and if we get down to 399.32 to 400, watching for a potential bounce around here as well. That's it for Qs. Nasdaq, this is the Nasdaq futures, NQ. Looking at the 1 hour time frame. Let's just put a level down here. So we've got 16,576 to 16,600 for a potential bounce around here, and so that's the area I'm really watching for. Potentially we can watch for a bounce at 16,762 as well, and that's tops and bottoms of these candles, kind of not too far from where we are now. So these are the areas, and we're coming off of the move. This is the 200 moving average starting to curve around again now as well, and we touched that. And for rejections, I quite like the point of control area, 16,960 through to 17,000 for rejection, those areas there. And we can watch for a break and retest long of the pre-market high as well. Okay, almost there. Oil, bottom tail's coming in here into an area where we've bounced a few times before as well. So keep an eye on oil. Nothing, no real play at the moment. If we can, it's quite a messy chart. What's a good level? Around 70 is a level to watch for a bounce. This area, so it's not a defined level, but it's a rough area. we can watch because we're not quite there on all the charts. So keep an eye on that area for potential bounce. And obviously we've got the rejection area up here at 74 as well. So 1774 if we're going to be playing this range. And then break above and beyond these we can watch for break and retests. You know, we tried to break it there, came back in, the retest. Would we've got a retest potentially? It came back up on that candle there, and now only retest, and it would have stopped out. Your stop should have been just there. So it's tried once and failed. So we'll see what happens. Gold coming back down to the bounce area now. And you can see a bit of volume as well, a point of control. So I quite like 2014 for a bounce. And we've got the point of control as well, which is that orange line, and that's where the most concentrated volume is. And if we bounce down here, potential target, if it's a swing trade, could be the next volume point of control, which will be this level 2056. Maybe take some off there as well, which is 2040. These are areas of volume. So we're just going sideways, we're not doing much at the moment, but we could be potentially curving round, to keep an eye on that as well. And then M2K, which is the Russell 2000 futures, broken that structure. We can get rid of this now, no longer relevant. I'll keep that one for a while. And we're coming into this gap fill we talked about, and in fact we've bounced off of it, so that's an area to watch for. And the area I had was 1905, and where are we now? Kind of didn't quite get there. 19, what's the low? 1907. So pretty close. That's a particular one. Even I don't really watch it intently, but if I was looking to take a swing on this, I probably would add one of these areas waiting, probably that pivot there, so it would have been in already, and then with a defined stop loss below that pivot there, which would be around 1890. One to keep an eye on, potential bounce. It's been in a strong downtrend, so going against the trend. And then lastly we got the Dow Jones Industrial, which is the MYM or the YM. And again, that's been in a big strong downtrend, and we've not quite filled the gap there. We're coming into this gap fill, so potentially look for a short to fill the gap. And we got this area here, which is at 37,000. And if I were to take a trade, we could have got the break and retest up here for the short down. That'd been a good trade. We're on the hourly still, yeah. So that was the entry there at 37,550. Potentially we've broken that pivot now. We can look for the next pullback. So if it's starting to come down, it pulls back a bit, we can look for an entry on the pullback to try and get that gap fill, with a target of 37,050. Okay, that's it really. Let's just recap MES and ES, because those are the ones I spend most attention on. Touch the bottom of this channel, keep an eye on that, watch for a break of structure. Longs over the pre-market high, and watch for shorts below this area. Again, we have got a bit of a gap fill, but we're coming into a potential bounce area, which is at 47.60. So that's my main area I'm watching, 47.60 and 47.85 for break and retest long. That's it. Okay, thank you for watching.